I got about 6 photographs here, and you may or may not know who's in these pictures, okay? And that's okay. And what I want you to do, look at them, and if you recognize any of them, you tell me.
This is 10-year-old Amber Daniels. Hours before this footage was recorded, Amber was found on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere with 2 other young girls. When police tried to locate their parents, they learned that all 3 children were part of the Daniels family, a household known for fostering many kids. But when officers arrived at the home, the front door was wide open. What they discovered inside became one of the most disturbing home invasions the state of Georgia had ever seen, launching a statewide manhunt for the mass murderer known as the Santa Claus Killer.
Ho, ho, ho!
Welcome to Old Casebook, where we reopen the forgotten mysteries that continue to haunt us. Today, we are looking into a chilling case often remembered as the Santa Claus Kidnappings, the disturbing story of Amber Daniels. This case unfolds like a nightmare, filled with fear, deception, and a shocking truth hidden behind an innocent disguise. So sit back, stay alert, and let's step into the shadows of this tragic investigation. There must have been 100 law enforcement officers from different agencies helping with the search, more than anyone had ever seen. 10-year-old Amber Daniels had been kidnapped and abused along with her 2 younger sisters, yet she survived, outsmarting her captor. She later went on to solve her own case and made sure the man responsible paid for what he took from her. At 5 a.m. on December 4th, 1997, a farmer in Bacon County, Georgia, was working on his property when he spotted 3 young girls walking along the side of the road. When he approached them, he noticed they were barefoot and dressed only in pajamas. One of the children said they were from Santa Claus, Georgia, a small town 50 miles north. Realizing the kids were far from home, the farmer quickly called 911. Bacon County police arrived and took the girls to the station, asking where they lived and what had happened. The oldest, Amber, explained that they were sisters and part of the Daniels family, then gave them her home address. Deputy Sheriff Mike Harlan was sent to the house to gather information. He expected anxious parents, or at least someone waiting at the door, but when he arrived, everything was hauntingly quiet. As he approached the home, he saw the front door standing open. Harlan announced his presence loudly, but got no response. Inside, he heard an alarm clock radio, a home security alarm beeping, and the sound of a baby crying. As he moved deeper into the house, he noticed something moving under a table. A little boy, silent and in shock, quietly pointing toward a bedroom. Harlan gently pushed the door open and saw blood on the doorframe. Inside, he found the body of a young woman lying motionless on the floor. Another step revealed 2 more bodies on the bed. An adult man and woman, both unresponsive, with a baby crying beside them. As he checked the rest of the house, he discovered another horrifying scene. A little boy in one of the kids' rooms lying motionless in his bed, covered in blood. Fearing the shooter might still be inside, Harlan grabbed the baby and the injured boy and rushed out. Meanwhile, at the police station, investigators asked the 3 girls what had happened. Amber, the oldest, began to tell her story and mentioned a name that changed everything. She said she had been taken from her bedroom earlier that night by a man named Scott. The year was 1995. Amber, then 8 years old, lived with her biological mother, Kim, who was a recovered alcoholic. The children had been placed into foster care many times due to Kim's struggles, but over the years she worked hard to get sober and provide a stable home for them. While attending Alcoholics Anonymous, Kim met another recovering alcoholic, Danny Daniels, and they fell in love, determined to build a new life together. They quit drinking, changed everything about their lives, and eventually created a stable home. Amber later said that the day child services allowed her to return home was one of the happiest of her life. She ran into her mother's arms, and beside her was Danny, arms open, welcoming her and ready to love her just as much as her mom. Danny and Kim later married, blending their families. His teenage daughter Jessica and Kim's 3 children, Brooke, Bryant, and Amber, all living under one roof. Kim's aspiration to provide a secure, loving, and supportive home for her children was finally becoming a reality. Just a few years earlier, she had been the one needing help to care for her kids. But now, sober and living in a stable home, Kim was eager to give back. She opened her doors to foster children, hoping to create a nurturing environment of her own. Amber remembers how, from a young age, her family began welcoming foster kids. It was exciting for her to have other children to play with. One of the first foster children the Daniels welcomed was a young girl named Joanne. Amber immediately felt she would become her best friend. They were the same age. Joanne was kind, and Amber loved her red hair. Joanne's biological mother would come over for visits, often bringing her son, Jerry Scott Heidler. Jerry, whom the kids simply called Scott, was 18 and very friendly. He played games with the children, jumped on the trampoline, and even taught them how to fish. Amber remembers him giving her piggyback rides, putting her on his shoulders, and always being loving and fun. He seemed like any other normal person who came in and out of their home. But one day, Jerry suddenly stopped coming around. 2 years passed. Joanne returned to her mother's care, and the Daniels never heard from Jerry again. By 1997, the Daniels had a full house, with 3 foster children added to their original 4. As the holidays approached, the family looked forward to a festive season together. Their Christmas tree was already set up and everything felt peaceful. But on the night of December 4th, just weeks before Christmas, Amber was sleeping soundly when she was suddenly woken up. Even though she hadn't seen him in years, she immediately recognized Jerry. He was yelling at her to wake up. Shocked, Amber heard her siblings crying from another room as Jerry insisted they leave the house immediately. Frightened and confused, Amber asked where her parents were, and Jerry told her that her mom and dad were not in the house. They had already left with the other children and had asked him to get Amber and her younger sisters, Amanda and Brooke. As they approached the front door, Amber turned and saw her 4-year-old brother Corey hiding under the kitchen table, and she heard her baby brother Gabe crying somewhere in the distance. "Why are we leaving them?" she asked, but Jerry insisted that her parents would come back for the boys. Amber had always known him to be kind to them, so leaving with him felt okay. The 3 girls climbed into his van as he claimed he was taking them to their parents, but as he drove down a deserted road, they grew more worried and began to cry, not knowing where they were going. After more than 30 minutes, the van slowed, turned onto a side street, and stopped under a bridge. Jerry shut off the engine and told Amber to come to the back with him, making Amanda and Brooke move to the front. Fear overwhelmed her as she realized something was terribly wrong. Jerry removed his clothing, and Amber noticed a knife in his boot and a gun on the floor of the van. He then forced himself on 10-year-old Amber, and although she cried, he threatened to hurt her sisters if she didn't stop. Terrified for them, she stayed silent. When he finally stopped, he told her to get dressed and climb back into the driver's seat. Without a word, he continued driving, and the sisters sat in silence, shocked, scared, and unsure of what would happen next. Eventually, the van stopped again, this time on top of a bridge in the middle of the night. Jerry grabbed the gun and forced the girls out, pointing the weapon at them as he walked them closer to the edge where a fast-moving stream rushed below. But suddenly, Jerry threw the gun into the water. In that moment, Amber realized it was their chance to escape. Her mind screamed for her to run, hide in the woods, do anything to get away. The 3 barefoot girls ran as fast as they could, but Jerry yelled after them and chased them. He was bigger and faster and quickly caught up to Brooke, violently grabbing her arm. He threatened Amber, saying that if she didn't come back, he would throw Brooke over the bridge and she'd never see her again. Amber was forced to make an impossible choice, knowing the only way to protect her sister was to do what he said. She and Amanda slowly returned, and once he had all 3 girls together, Jerry ordered them back into the van and drove them even farther from home. When Amber asked where they were going, he became angry, pulled into a dead-end road, and ordered them out, telling them to wait 5 minutes for him and warning them to stay put. The girls stood there watching his car disappear until they could no longer see the lights. After counting just 65 seconds, Amber told her sisters to run, find help, Tell someone, get home. As they ran, they spotted a farmhouse, but car headlights suddenly shined in their direction. Amber panicked, thinking Jerry had returned, and pushed the girls into a ditch to hide. But when the car stopped, it wasn't Jerry. It was a local farmer offering help. Relieved, Amber called her sisters out of hiding, and he took them to safety, contacted police, and the sheriff arrived to bring them to the station. There, Amber saw family members she hadn't seen in years, and when she asked where her parents were, her little brother Corey told her, "They're dead." Amber didn't want to believe it, but the devastated faces around her confirmed the truth. Her mother was gone. Overwhelmed by shock and grief after everything she had endured, Amber broke down crying. But she also knew exactly who was responsible and wanted him brought to justice. She told officials the name of the man who abducted them, Jerry Scott Heidler. Police recognized the name immediately. He was the brother of one of the foster children and often visited the Daniels family, even showing unwanted romantic interest toward the teenage daughter, Jessica. Investigators checked their records and found he had a prior DUI arrest, which meant they had his mugshot. They presented Amber with a series of photographs and asked her to identify the man who had taken her.
You may or may not know who's in these pictures, okay? And that's okay. And what I want you to do, look at them, and if you recognize any of them, you tell me.
When shown the pictures, Amber immediately points him out, saying, "Yes, this is Scott Heidler." To build their case and understand what happened that night, Amber is asked to walk investigators through every detail, bravely recounting what Jerry did and where he took them. She shows them the dirt road he drove down and recalls everything he said and did. With Amber's information, police return to the Daniels home and carefully collect evidence from the crime scene, including fingerprints, a cigarette butt, and DNA samples. Investigators believe that around 1 a.m. before Jerry abducted Amber and her younger sisters, he broke into the Daniels home through a back window. He then entered the room of 16-year-old Jessica and attempted to make advances on her. They believe she resisted and ran to her parents' bedroom. Familiar with the layout of the home, Jerry went to the cabinet where the family kept their shotgun, seized it, and entered the parents' bedroom, killing Jessica, the two adults Kim and Danny, and 8-year-old Brian before running out of ammunition. He then entered Amber's room and took her and the two younger girls. With Amber's testimony and the physical evidence collected, investigators now have enough to make an arrest, but Jerry is still missing. Police use every available resource to track him down, suspecting he may be hiding at his mother's home in Alma, Georgia, just an hour away. When officers arrive, they find no sign of him until they search around the property and discover him hiding underneath the floorboards in a small crawl space. Jerry Scott Heidler is charged with 4 counts of murder, 3 counts of kidnapping, and burglary. He does not resist and confesses, saying it felt like a dream. While Jerry awaits trial, Amber is left processing the devastating loss of her mother, father, older sister, and younger brother. Right before Christmas. Christmas had always been a big part of their family, but that year when December 24th arrived, there was no celebration, only grief. That's when the reality hit her. They weren't coming back. On August 30th, 1999, Jerry's trial begins. Amber, now 13, has her interview played in court as key evidence. The community is heartbroken and shaken by the crime. The jury takes only 20 minutes to reach a verdict: death. On December 2nd, 1999, Jerry Scott Heidler is convicted of 4 counts of malice murder, kidnapping, aggravated child molestation, and burglary, and is sentenced to death, where he remains on death row. According to witnesses, the only moment Jerry showed remorse was when he dropped his head and a tear rolled down his cheek. As long as he could never hurt anyone again, that was enough for them. More than 2 decades later, Amber refuses to let her past define her. She is focused on living her life fully, honoring her mother's strength and love. Now a mother herself, Amber pours her heart into her child, striving to give him the same nurturing home her mother worked so hard to create. Watching her son grow brings her healing for the moments she lost with her own mom. He is her future. She prays he never endures what she went through and only experiences the good days she once had. Amber has learned that what happened to her was not her fault. She has let go of the anger, knowing it doesn't help build love in her life now. If she could tell Jerry she forgives him, she would, because she cannot change the past. But she can build a better future for herself and her family. Holding on to hate forever has no purpose. In the end, she chooses to be the better person. This brings us to the end of the heartbreaking case of Amber Daniels, a story that still leaves many unanswered questions and a deep sense of sorrow. If you found this exploration informative, don't forget to subscribe to Old Casebook and press the bell icon so you never miss another unsolved mystery from the past.